Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Jiu-Jitsu Radio. As always, this podcast is brought to you by Choke Aloha. Head over to chokealoha.com and use the promo code Jiu-Jitsu Radio and get 10% off your entire order. Not just part of it, just the entire thing. And they actually have a new shirt out, and if you have been following them on social media, they're going to be releasing a pretty dope sweater coming up for the wintertime. So check them out. chokealoha.com. Use the promo code Jiu-Jitsu Radio. Tell them I sent you. Tell them what's up. Tell them how much you love their product. And we also want to introduce our new sponsor, the Jiu-Jitsu Soap Company. Head over to jujitsusoapco.com. Use the promo code Kung Fu, and you get 15% off your order. If you're wondering what Jiu-Jitsu Soap is, they are a soap company, but it's not a large manufacturer. Obviously, you hear this guy laughing? You need some soap. No wonder he's laughing. You could use a little soap.
Jiu-Jitsu Soap is a soap
It
company.
may be soap.
You hear this guy? He doesn't know what soap is, Mr. Swamp Ass over here. But use the promo code Kung Fu, get 50% off. They are a small company made from... by people, by
If anyone needs a description, it's
guy.
Coach over there.
It's
so.
just right there. This fucking guy is such a piece of shit. No, but it's just a small company, and they're started by passionate jiu-jitsu practitioners just like all of us, and they've been very supportive of the podcast. So check them out. Use the promo code. I'll be posting a review of some of the soaps that I have from them. They're awesome. I love them. I definitely will be picking up a few more in the next couple of weeks, but check them out, jujitsusoapco.com. And now let's get started, because I'm ripping into this rat bastard over here to my right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jiu-Jitsu Radio. All right, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Alexis Rosa. You're listening to the Jiu-Jitsu Radio podcast. Today, I'm in home territory here at Temple Martial Arts Club in Delray Beach, Florida. To my left, the owner of Temple Martial Arts and an old high school comrade of mine, Brooks Burke.
Alex, what up, brother?
What's up, homie? And then to the right, the ever-expanding black belt, Shawn Ambrosino, if you might remember him from our venture up to Orlando.
The most entertaining person that's ever been on this podcast.
Well, easy there.
Yeah, well, I think that's clearly just been broken by my friend Brooks here.
Not yet. He hasn't said shit.
He doesn't have to.
Give me some time. Doesn't take much.
Oh, damn! I don't know if that was sounded like more of a dig on me than Shawn. So we actually got a lot of stuff that we got to go over with, but I think the biggest thing that we got to talk to people, because the last podcast I did was right before the hurricane, and this is the post-hurricane podcast. For everybody wondering, we made out fairly decent compared to people in other countries like Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, and actually right now Puerto Rico is getting demolished. So
No power on the entire island.
the entire island is out.
How shitty would that be?
Yeah.
Nothing. There would be no rest. Like you couldn't. Oh, let me get a hotel room and I'll have AC for the night.
Hotel room, they don't have roofs, man.
Yeah, there was there was an article this morning. I didn't get to read it, but a radio host had the roof of the station fly off in the middle of a show.
On air.
And he just kept going. So props to him. That's a professional. He just kept going. But if it was
Some
me,
people
like,
don't know when to quit.
right? I mean, if the roof fell off of like my radio, I'd be like, you know what? I guess that's it. We're done here.
Back to the house.
Yeah, right. If there is one. But all positive vibes going out to everyone in Puerto Rico.
Absolutely. Thoughts and prayers.
Like I know it's been a rough few weeks for everybody in the Caribbean. And then Mexico, too. There was an earthquake in Mexico. I think there was an earthquake.
There was an earthquake in Japan yesterday.
Japan.
Yeah, well, that was the
Near
fourth
Fukushima.
one in Mexico in about a month, I think.
Yeah, there was actually a video. This like a whole bunch of people out in the middle of like a parking lot, and they were filming all the buildings. And then out of nowhere, this one just and
Fell.
just completely collapsed.
Seems to be a lot of shit going down lately, for sure.
Mother Nature is not happy.
I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of been a while since like this much stuff has happened. I know like most people don't realize in Italy there's a lot of earthquakes. There's a lot of earthquakes in Italy, and it like fucks up.
Yeah, but we
a lot of
figure,
stuff.
fuck it, it's Italy. Who
Yeah,
cares?
man.
Yeah, right.
As long as it doesn't mess with my cheeseburger.
I'm good. Hey, there's a lot of good pizza coming out of Italy. All right. That's the biggest thing. No, but I mean, there's a lot of shit that happens, and like it doesn't get reported all the time,
Absolutely. Seems like Mother Nature's doing some house cleaning, for sure.
right? But the worst part too is like after the earthquake, you got to worry about tidal waves because it doesn't happen where the earthquake hit. It happens almost like on the opposite side of the earth.
Well, though, depending on which way the
Yeah.
everything shifts, depends on where that tidal wave or that
Where those
tsunami
plates shift originally.
Yeah,
Right.
And not that I'm a geologist or anything, but I do. You know,
Well-
everybody gets the thing with the internet nowadays is everybody's like
An
got
expert.
an expert at but everybody's got a little bit of knowledge. You hear something, you can research it and get everything that you need to know. Real
So what
quick.
are you an expert of besides Pornhub?
Masturbation.
I was gonna say banging your sister. But-
that sounds more like a personal problem. If you see my sister.
But, yeah, that's. But I have seen pictures of your sister. She's not a bad-looking girl. What are you trying to do?
I don't know where you've seen pictures of my sister. I'm not even friends with her on Facebook or social
no,
media.
I've seen pictures in your phone.
Family photo album.
Yeah, I've
family photo.
never ever. I don't even have a photo of me and my sister.
I've
That's
seen
a
it.
lie.
I've seen a picture because
so-
I've asked you to see. I was like, "What does your
no,
sister
you
look
have
like?"
never asked me. Yeah, what does your sister look like? Never has that sentence
I
come out of
have.
your
That
mouth.
was, it's
Because he
years.
knows already.
I know, right? This guy. I think he just got busted being a creeper. But it's not
Wouldn't
me
be
you
the-
got to worry about.
Wouldn't be
it's
the
her
first
husband.
time.
He's a Marine.
I thought he was a firefighter.
Army Marine, one of those guys.
Well,
No, he's not a
it-
firefighter.
it-
See,
Army,
you're think-
Marine, garbage man,
doesn't he
something
do-
like
he
that.
did something at the pool.
What are you talking about?
Wasn't your
How hard
He's
did
a
you
pool-
get
he's
hit
a
in the
pool
head?
cleaner
Did
now?
you-
Is that what we're saying?
No, remember he was doing dive things at the pool.
A dive instructor.
No. They
fuck
were
is
doing
this guy
dive.
Scuba dive.
No. They were doing
Just anything-
drills.
just-
I
playing
thought they were
charades
doing
over here.
drills at Aquacrest.
Skydive.
Remember they were doing drills at Aquacrest?
That wasn't my brother, dude.
I didn't say it
Or
was
that
your
wasn't
brother.
my brother-in-law. No,
No?
no.
Thought it was somebody.
Well, it was somebody clearly.
Was it a girlfriend's
No, who was it? I remember who you're talking about now. I'm trying to remember who it was, but no, it was just
ex-boy? Was it your sister's?
no, it was like a friend
ex-boyfriend?
of mine or something like that. No, it was like a friend of mine
Oh.
from like way back. But yeah, I remember we were talking about. We were at Aquacrest. Like I was teaching them how to swim.
Shawn, that's before the floaties or
Yeah.
after the floaties?
No, this is post floaties. I got them past floaties.
Pre-Olympic trials.
Yeah, I got them past the floaties. But no, there was a group of sheriffs or I think it was like it was my ex-girlfriend's
Brother.
That's how all the
cousin's
best
boyfriend,
stories start.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It was
Yeah,
something weird.
It was something weird. It was one of my ex-girlfriend's like
Uncle's
like,
brother's niece.
yeah, some dude that like one of her friends or something was dating. He was actually a cool guy, but whatever. Yeah, Shawn's just mixing stuff up.
He's a good swimmer, obviously, right?
Yeah, no, dude, they were doing the old school Hawaiian surf training where they just give them the weights and
Running
make 'em
underwater?
run. Yeah,
That's the
So
real
it's pretty
deal.
Cool. I've actually been wanting to try and do that for jiu-jitsu. I don't know how many people do that. I know some people do it for Muay Thai.
Yeah, a lot of the guys out in Hawaii, I know BJ Penn and his camp used to train like that.
I don't
The
know.
Irons brothers.
I actually was going to try it at Aquacrest. The guy that runs it was like, you got to be very careful
Yeah,
because people pass out and next thing you know, you're dead because you're holding your breath.
yeah.
It's a whole different kind of aerobic. And I don't think he wanted the lead weights dropping on the floor of
Yeah, I would just
Aquacrest.
use like one of those like the rubber balls, like the weighted rubber balls or whatever. I would just use that.
Yeah,
You don't want to be dropping them on your floor for
Yeah.
sure.
Plus, Alex is drawn to balls anyway, so.
Who doesn't like balls in the
When
water?
you got them as big as I do, I mean. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. So, to everybody that's been affected by all the crazy natural disasters out there, our thoughts are with you guys. Hopefully everything works out. We got a big man over here taking snaps. Send me that one later so we can post it.
Yes, sir. Can do.
Okay, let's bring this up because I haven't talked about this because You and I spoke about this a little bit, Brooks, the
What's
other
that?
day.
What do we got?
But the Triple G Canelo fight.
Where do we start?
Probably how much the Adelaide Bird got paid to make it a draw.
Well, you know, it's good for boxing and it's bad for boxing. The good news is they're going to fight again. The bad news is everyone knows how much of a smoke screen and man behind the curtain situation we have going on. If they didn't know already.
Honestly, like, it's probably the worst thing that could happen to boxing, though. I think, yeah, it brings attention to the kind of crazy shit that happens in boxing in the fight itself. But, I mean, they were talking about it on the Brendan Schaub podcast, too. It's like you have De La Hoya causing so much shit, like, pay attention to this, and Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor is like the worst thing that happened to boxing. And then he's like, watch my fight instead. And it's like, oh, your fight is the one that is getting harassed for getting paid.
Well, the Mayweather-McGregor was such a circus, I think. You know, everyone was ready for a real boxing match. And not to say that theirs wasn't, but I think the real boxing enthusiasts were ready for a war. We saw them both take some damage. Triple G especially took that bomb.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we know boxing's not fake. If you watch that shot, you can't fake stuff like that. So, you know, judges suck. We all knew that before, but this is just another, you know, kind of period on the sentence.
Yeah, it's just, honestly, like, something's going to happen in the next few years where it's just a whole new organization altogether that actually takes care of their fighters. It's going to end up having to be something like the UFC for boxing. Because there's just way too many belts and organizations and all this other bullshit. And they always like, oh, we're going to unify the belts. Like, yeah, not really.
The Boxing Commission has been trouble for a long time if you go back. I mean,
for sure.
They've tried to protect their sport and take down other sports that are threats for many years. So this is nothing new. You know, judges have been trouble for a long time.
Yeah.
If you ask any fighter what's the biggest problem in fighting, they're probably going to say judges, you know.
Yeah.
So
it's stupid, and it screws over, and it screws the guys over so bad. Actually, the payouts were like
It's not
shit.
the judges.
What?
That's not the
refs?
problem. It's the problem is the people who really run boxing.
Oh, it's
well,
the promoters.
they're putting the pressure
Yeah.
on the judges, obviously,
Yeah.
you know. But at the end of the day, the guy who scores is going to determine the outcome, you know.
Yeah.
There's always going to be an order coming from higher up, but the guy with the card at the end of the day is gonna see who wins, and it sucks that that's how it works. But like you said, there is pressure coming from the outside.
But it's such
sure.
a bullshit, just fucking smoke show, like you said, because the Adelaide Bird now is suspended, and I forget the guy's name. The commissioner is like, oh, it's for her own protection, so she can go and collect her thoughts and stuff. Like, no, motherfucker, you fire her.
Yeah.
You fire her and you put on an investigation. You say, hey, how much did you fucking get paid? Because supposedly they're saying, like, oh, suddenly $30,000 gets added to her bank account. Like, where do you get suddenly fucking $30,000? That's just a random number I heard. Whether it's true or not, I don't know.
They should have paid her a lot more.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, but it could be even worse than that. They don't even have to pay her shit. They can say, look, we know where you live.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I think if it got to like that serious of a point, I think it's more of like you're gonna take the money, and one way or another, it's gonna end up in your bank account, and then we're gonna tell people that you took the money if you don't do it the way that we told you to.
Yeah, blackmail goes a long way, for sure.
Because it's a lot more difficult to get away with physical violence and something like that than it is to like extort people out of just saying, oh, guess what? We found a video of you sucking some penis. You know?
I don't know. I've been watching Narcos, so I just assume.
Which one? The new season?
Everyone's
No,
getting
the
strong
first season.
arm.
I just started watching
oh my
it.
God. You too, right? You didn't watch
I
it.
still haven't started.
Oh my God,
I'm the last
man.
guy on the planet.
You guys got to watch that shit. It's so fucking good. How far did you get?
They just killed the.
For a spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
Fuck 'em. If you
Well,
guys
look,
didn't
no,
watch,
look,
if you
it's
guys
in-
didn't watch it yet, that's
it's
your
in
own
the
fucking
fourth
problem.
season, and it's history. So
Third
it's-
season.
Yeah, I was going to say, no,
but
you can't see
it's-
on the History Channel.
Yeah, it's history. When they killed the one political leader, the one that was pushing extradition so bad.
Oh yeah. So you haven't gotten to the part where like they set the library on fire?
Yeah, they just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that shit,
Burning
right?
books.
No,
No, dude.
It was the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, it was the Hall of Justice. So basically, it's like a giant government building, and he was just like, you know what, fuck you, and he basically
He hired
burn
a
it
communist group
Yeah.
to take over the place, and then they burned
To
all the
overthrow the
evidence.
building.
Yeah, because there was like it was a guerrilla faction. I'm trying to remember right.
M19.
Yeah, it was the guerrilla faction. So he partnered up with them, and he made them go set this Capitol building on fire. And basically,
Nice.
well, he wiped out everybody's credit. So all the money that people owed just
Was gone.
disappeared. Which is like,
Someone needs to do that here.
right? I
I
wouldn't
could use a little of that in my life.
I could be so happy.
I'm pretty good when it comes to credit. I'd rather somebody just fill my bank account with some cash.
That'll work too.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that?
No.
Dude, like, I was hurting for cash like a couple months ago, and then like out of nowhere, I see like $2,500 or something pop in my bank account. I was
Pull
like,
it.
oh, Papa's living the day.
Pull it.
So I was like, man, I should just fucking cash out.
Steak dinner, man.
Cash out right now. Like, just take all my shit and close the bank account, go open another bank account somewhere. I'm like, it's got to be a fuck up. I'm like, because nobody knows my bank account number, so it wasn't like some.
It's not like grandma sent you $2,000.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to sweat this one out. And I was every morning I'd wake up and check. It's like, fuck, it's still there, man.
I gave it a couple days, and I had to.
I
make the
waited.
move.
I did. I waited like a few days, and then like I think it took a week. I said like after a week, if like 5 business days pass by and it's still there, it's mine.
The question is, did the bank fix it, or
Yeah.
did you go to the bank?
No. I didn't say shit. I'm like, I'm not stupid. Like, I mean, that's bad enough. I was holding out, and not taking money out, but I was like, oh, I might as well just fucking take it. I figured
Just go
if
ahead
it's still
and sit
there,
on this for a minute.
yeah, after 5 business days, it's fucking mine, right? So, but
Fair enough.
But no, I'm not gonna go sit there and like, hey guys, somebody put money.
The
in my
problem
bank."
is there's a trail there.
There's always a trail.
When
Yeah.
it comes to the bank, there's always a trail. Unless it was cash, there's a trail.
Yeah, I mean like, whatever. Obviously, I'm not gonna fucking do the wrong thing. I was like, all right, whatever.
I mean, they
It
can't take
happens.
back money you don't have, though. Right?
No, they can say like, I looked it up. I was like, what
They
kind of
can definitely
trouble?
press charges against you, but
Yeah.
they can't get the money back.
But that's what I was saying. Like, if I take it out and I close the bank account, I don't know what the fuck you guys talking about. It wasn't
What
me.
money?
Yeah, it's
That
like,
was my $2,500. Don't ask what I did for it.
yeah, because it was weird too. It was an ATM deposit. That's what threw me off. It was an ATM deposit.
Now, I'd have just taken that as a blessing, maybe, and
I sweated out. I took the tough road on this one for once in my life. I was like, yeah, I'll be the good guy on this one. But,
they owe you one.
yeah, that's definitely like next time they try to throw some bullshit fees on me, I'll let them know. I'm not gonna call out the bank, but it's happened. I know you're listening,
Yeah, you know who you are.
right? But yeah, dude, that's such bullshit though. That fight like pissed me off. I stayed up to watch the fight. It was the same night as the Luke Rockhold fight, which was a great fight. That whole card was nuts. Our buddies all came home with knockout wins. Gilbert Burns with an amazing KO.
Huge knockout.
I was so disappointed that he didn't get an extra $50K.
Oh, bro, don't even get me started.
Fight of the night.
Yeah.
Well, no, there was another knockout. Uriah Hall got a knockout as well, but it wasn't as spectacular.
Right.
Well,
That
Kamaru got the
overhand right was
knockout.
pretty.
Kamaru got a knockout.
Yeah, they were 3 for 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Henry Hooft was killing it that
Coach
night.
of the night for sure.
Easily. And then they gave it to somebody else, so it's like, it wasn't even that good of a fucking knockout.
They gave it to Uriah Hall.
Uriah Hall.
Got the knockout
Yeah.
of the night, or performance of the night.
Whatever, dude, that was not a performance of the night. He almost got knocked out in the first, like, minute and a half. So, like, Uriah Hall is such a weird character, man, because you never know who you're going to get.
Yeah, you're either gonna get a weird. You're either gonna get a world killer.
Yeah,
I
you're
was
gonna
gonna
get
say.
you get the
Get
I'm
the axe
sorry
murderer.
Adam. You get the I'm sorry Adam Uriah Hall, or you're gonna get the like I just had a bad night and I'm just a little scared. Like it's so weird.
Well, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of AJ.
AJ.
Anthony Johnson.
Why?
Well, I'll tell you. Anthony Johnson says, I'm not a fighter. I'm just an athlete that's good at fighting.
That's not true. Uriah Hall is a fighter.
I don't know, man.
Uriah
he's
Hall's a
martial,
martial artist.
martial
I don't know if
artist.
he's a fighter, but
There's
he's
a difference
definitely a
between
martial artist.
martial artist and a fighter. He's a martial artist.
The difference is like he was somebody that went into martial arts because he was so badly bullied that like so he has huge pent up aggression like that he's holding off. For me, I think it's more of a psychological thing.
Yeah,
Like-
he's a killer on the other side.
Yeah.
He's not the normal mad dog bleeding from the mouth guy you
Yeah.
see in the cage.
But
he may be the
he-
tormented soul that you see every once in a
Yeah.
while.
That doesn't mean he's. I was bullied. I don't have a lot of aggression.
You're
pent
still
up.
bullied.
Still
Yeah.
bullied. But here the yeah out in the water. The thing is he might it has nothing to. He just might need that extra
But see, that's
motivation.
Well, that
you
may
know?
be a coach issue. You know, that may
But-
be who he's fighting. He's one
what-
of those guys.
He needs somebody to bring it out of him. Is what needs
right,
to
but
happen.
that's
Right.
what I'm saying. I think it's a psychological thing. Like I think it's there, but he's so almost traumatized of everything that happened to him that he's afraid that he's going to become a bully by letting go of the aggression that he has.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly think if you put him in like a good sports psychologist and just have him kind of work his shit out and finally be free with, like, you got to accept the fact that you're a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, that's
a lot of these guys, you know, not all of them want to hurt people necessarily. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's a job. They get the job done. But at the end of the day, that's all it is a job.
Yeah.
Some of these guys want to hurt. They do it for free. Some of them would never walk in if that wasn't the case.
See, but if you watch, like, his fights that he did with, like, his little, like, remember the Chuck Norris League? There was, like, the 5-on-5 stuff.
That was the round ring with the bank, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like, he was fucking badass, bro. He was fucking people up. And that was mostly, like, Taekwondo kind of case.
That's more of a sports style than MMA is.
Yeah.
So maybe, like you said,
but he was still knocking dudes out.
You know, his morality may have seen it more of a sport in that arena than the UFC. You know, it's such a violent sport compared to stand-up kickboxing with, you know, padded boots. And different sport.
Yeah, and I think it would probably be easier for him if they threw him in something like Glory. Like if they put him in like a
possibly
something
that showed his athleticism a little bit more maybe. And
I think the ground game stuff, like, he's good at it, but I think that kind of might be something that stops him. I think if you put him in the same kind of style where it's almost points oriented, but it's still just striking based, I think he would probably let loose a little more.
Well, you got to think about it too. Like Chuck Norris League, the competition he was seeing, nothing against anybody back then or those guys, but by all means is nothing compared to the talent level that he's seeing now fighting in the UFC. So the fact that he was killing people left and right is no surprise with the way he moves.
Yeah, for sure. I had to adjust my mic a second there. Let me come back on here. All right, there we go. No, for sure. Like, absolutely, that the level of competition was completely different in that league. But I think there were still a couple of guys that came into the UFC. I can't think off the top of my head, but I think there are a couple. But that was like way back. I think they still do something like that.
Well, you know, like we said, I think as a martial artist, that's a much more applicable arena for martial arts than the UFC is. The UFC is for fighters. Not to say that there isn't great martial artists in the UFC. Of course there is. But, you know, it takes a lot of these belt holders are bloodthirsty dudes that really want it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of – there's only like a handful of guys that you can easily say those are legit martial artists, like Lyoto Machida. Like, he's one.
I am not impressed with your performance.
GSP.
Yeah. GSP is different. I think he's
an animal as well, but he's a martial artist.
Yeah, I think so. I guess he's got more of that mentality. But he's someone that is such a genetic freak that you could probably put him in anything and he would have been world class.
You've got Wonder Boy. You've got a lot of these guys that were doing it since they were kids, you know, that it's instilled in them.
Well, then, I mean, that's when you get to the weird spot. You get guys like Sage Northcutt, which is like, okay, that's how he grew up, but he grew up more like show karate stuff.
Yeah, well, and this new generation, too, I think has a whole new mindset for mixed martial arts than we grew up with. You know, I mean, they think of it as the norm as opposed to we thought of it as extreme.
But even then, I mean, like, we grew up on, like, Ninja Turtles, Three Ninjas and stuff like that, where it was always presented as, like, oh, that's the warrior spirit and this, that, and the other. Now they're getting more, like, just like brutal fights, shit like Bane.
Just tear his head off.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what's funny is you think about it. Think about the movie fights you've seen over the years.
Like Bloodsport.
Yeah, Bloodsport. All that shit. It was like, oh man, this stuff. And now you watch it. Now, here's the problem with the UFC, the rise of the UFC. It's kind of ruined movies for me.
Why?
Because
of the fights.
Because of the fights. Because you know that's not how a fight would happen.
No
one's gonna sit there and tag somebody and hit them with three.
Overhand rights in a row?
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Not even like everything's like super loop punches where the guy can just block. Just
Well, not to mention, you see Tom Cruise hitting inverted triangles on people in the street and having them pull the trigger. Probably not going to happen in real life.
I think the closest one that they had was Pacific Rim. Because in Pacific Rim, like, the two guys started like arguing and then he pulls like an arm bar. He like takes him to the ground and then he just pulls an arm bar.
Hallway.
And it was like all over like a 30-second fight in a movie. He's like, yeah, that's
greatest fight in movie history.
Right? Well, then you get John Wick.
No. What's your call?
What?
Greatest fight in movie history.
Trying to think.
Point Break in the showers.
That was kind of realistic.
Back off, War Child.
Seriously. He's
But all right, greatest as in like epic or greatest as
most
in
realistic.
Most realistic. See, that's different. That's not the greatest.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. But so I'm going with They Live.
They Live. Yeah, that's pretty realistic.
That was a realistic fight in the alley with Roddy Piper, and I can't remember the other dudes. The other dude, all I can remember him as is from Men at Work. Never touch another man's fries. But I can never remember his name.
What about Rocky and Tommy Gunn in the streets of Philly?
Yes and no. He did do the whole body slam into the car.
Yeah, I mean it had some realism to it, but they were tagging each other.
They were hitting hard. But we're talking Rocky here.
Yeah, it's
Rocky.
Yeah, it's a Rocky movie.
You know we can take a bomb.
I'm trying to think, man, because I have like so many fucking movies just stuck in my head.
Best part of They Live.
Friday, Debo punch.
Yeah, that's about as realistic as you get.
I mean, if we're talking real here,
Picked up the brick.
Let's
chucked
get
the
there.
brick
What
at
about
him.
Mortal Kombat?
Exactly.
Mortal Kombat, when Johnny Cage just does a split, punches Gorer in the nuts. That's pretty realistic.
Falls off the cliff.
Yeah, that's about as realistic as you get. Honestly, it would probably almost be, I want to say like Game of Death. Like, even though there's like a lot of weird stuff, they're like, that's probably most realistic because he had to fight someone with a weapon, and then he had to fight someone that had more range.
The fights themselves are not realistic.
They weren't realistic, but they
it's-
were more realistic on the challenges that he had to like approach at, because he had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at whatever 7 foot, so he had to take it into consideration.
By the way, it looked
Which is
rad.
super realistic.
Which looked,
obviously.
but think about remember how
Extremely
rad he
rad
looked
on
with
camera.
like the robe and the sunglasses.
I mean,
Yeah.
Look more like a pimp than a martial artist, but
You know what the best
Good,
part is too is
nevertheless.
like when he kicks him, and then you see he has like Bruce Lee has a foot stain on his chest.
he left the Shaquille O'Neal stain
Yeah,
on
he
his
just
chest.
left like it
The
literally
size
goes
22.
from his hips to like his chin. It's just a giant fucking foot. I
What
know.
else
I
we
mean,
got?
yeah, like honestly, it's weird. Like as far as like most realistic, it just depends on it because it's almost like you're gonna say like Batman when he fights Bane. That's kind of realistic because they just beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, that was a pretty good fight.
Because you have to make it. The only time it gets super
That
realistic
that
when it
whole
gets to that.
Batman was realistic though.
Yeah.
it was. He had a very
Until you get into like the nuclear bomb going off in the middle of the ocean and everybody's fine. Like then it gets kind of.
I don't know.
Starts
I
to get a
just
little
went
weird.
and saw that movie American Assassin. They did the same thing.
Which one's that?
The one where the kid's girlfriend gets killed by.
I
Oh,
saw
right, yeah.
that.
Is
I
that-
saw the previews for
Yeah.
that.
Is that good?
It was good, man.
Oh, I gotta
It
watch
was
that.
good. He started hunting terrorists on his own, and he gets recruited by the CIA.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
like- Tim Kennedy's life.
I like
You
how
know-
Tim Kennedy says, "Fuck terrorists."
Well, he like even gives like out his address. He's like, "This is where I'm at." But meanwhile, he's like, he has government issued security. You know that, right?
No.
He has to travel with like government issued security. There's
Really?
like 4 or 5 guys. Yeah, they go with him everywhere. Like that's pretty. Because I mean,
pretty
if you think about
serious.
it now, he's talked so much shit back to like terrorists that he's almost become like a
Target.
Yeah, like a target, like a glory target. It's like, oh,
Well, no,
we
he
got
was
him.
a target. They
Yeah.
even
well,
said
no, he
was
was a target, but now it's because of like the shit talking and stuff. It's like, oh, like we should get him. Like it's like if we got their little rock star, then we'd be good. But he's fucking nuts. He's great. Supposedly he's thinking about coming back.
fighting.
Yeah, I heard rumors. I don't know if he would.
The old rumor.
I thought he
Yeah.
got out of fighting to go kill more terrorists or whatever.
He did, but I mean, he also got rocked, and he was fighting back to back, and he got beat by Kevin Gastelum, which is like,
Calvin's pretty good though.
I'm
He
over
beats a
him.
lot of people.
Underrated.
yeah, he's like.
You think
I
he's overrated?
Underrated.
I think
Underrated.
he's overrated.
No,
Because
I
he's,
don't think.
bro, he's beating up fucking old guys. Chris Weidman.
Old seasoned vets, though.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, you're going to fight like Vitor, okay, like Vitor off TRT, like 5 years past his prime. And then you're going to beat up Chris Weidman post TRT, past his prime. Off
Well,
of
Weidman won that fight, didn't he?
No.
You sure?
Pretty sure.
Let's go to the computer.
Let's go.
Oh no, you're right. He did win. He won. Yeah. See, yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
No, he won. He won with his grappling.
And then he can make fucking weight.
Well, if he can make 170,
he's
that's
one
the
of
problem.
those.
He's fighting 185 at
big.
like 5'6".
That's big.
But like that's his own thing, man. That's one of those guys where it's like it pisses me off because it's like you have so much potential and you just waste it. There's so many guys out there that like have the potential and they just waste it.
That's what Sonny said.
Right?
Sonny said that's the
Why do you think he's underrated?
Well, I mean, like Shawn said, just because he's not fighting these young guys necessarily, that he's beat some serious people over the years, and the fact that he's lasted this long in the sport, you know, kind of.
But you don't think that like they've given him like so many like get out of jail free cards?
I don't know why they set up the fights like they do half the time, to be honest with you. The way I look at these cards, I don't know who's making these matchups, but it doesn't make half sense to me.
They split it up. Like Sean Shelby does some, and then I forget who the other one does.
All right, so he has in his last. He actually, honestly, his record is kind of shit right now.
Oh, thank you.
One,
What's
two,
his
three,
record?
4,
Wait, what are
5,
you looking up?
6, 7.
Tapology?
No.
What are you on?
Wikipedia.
Okay.
Out of his last 7 fights, he's got
3 for 7.
3 losses and a no contest.
So he's
three
three.
for
Lost.
7,
He
yeah.
lost to Tyron Woodley.
Which is like that's the champ.
He
was gonna
beat
say.
Nate Marquardt.
Okay, that's see again someone with no chin anymore.
He lost to Neil Magny in a decision.
That was by decision.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Neil Magny's good, but he just lost to Dos Anjos.
He beat Johnny Hendricks.
Okay, another guy that has no chin after like all the steroids he took.
He beat Tim Hendricks or Tim Kennedy.
Which again, that was a fight that Tim Kennedy took after like just having fought like I don't know 2 weeks before. Or
the
something
no
like that.
contest with Vitor because he was on what was he on?
He weed.
Pot.
Yeah.
And then he lost to Wyman. Now here's the
All
thing.
right, thank you. See what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. I cannot understand.
Well, didn't he fight Anderson too, or he was supposed to, and the fight got canceled?
No, but before that, he was on before he lost to Tyron. He was on a
Yeah, okay.
an incredible win
Give me
streak.
like 3 fights like before Tyron.
3 fights before Tyron: Jake Ellenberger,
Yeah.
Nico Musoki, Rick Story. Rick Story's legit.
All right, whatever. Yeah, but that was like Rick Story on his like losing
and
streak.
he had beat Uriah Hall.
Again, like that's like all right. You beat Uriah Hall, so you got a 50-50 chance of beating Uriah Hall depending on who shows up.
I honestly think he's just in the wrong weight class.
But I think this also goes with like what Brooks is saying though. It's like the matchups. It's like they're weird matchups for him. It's almost like they were trying to feed him like people. They're like, oh,
And
get
then
these guys.
and then he kept
And-
screwing up,
and then
not
he
making
It
weight.
fucks up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that's what I'm saying. Like that's why to me it's like he's overrated. He hasn't done anything yet where I'm like, all right, this guy's legit, and I'm still willing to say that this guy is fucking legit. You know, it's just Brooks is still fighting over his cup. So, total segue here.
But
Brooks is not happy with his Keurig machine
I'm not happy with the Keurig machine.
because evidently it decides to brew coffee when it decides to brew coffee.
Yeah, well, this is 3 cups later, and we've had no cups brewed.
So he's been trying to hit the button like 3 times, and
just let it be known. I told you fuckers I was right.
I know I believed you. I had a coffee machine I would have given you. You need to just go old school and just get one of those mocha presses, man.
That's French press.
Yeah, that's how I would do it. What were you gonna say, Sean?
This whole bullshit with marijuana being banned,
For
a banned substance in NFL, any sport.
Well, see, here's the thing, man.
Total bullshit.
That's bullshit.
It's not banned in NBA. They don't even test it for the NBA. When's the last time you heard anybody in the NBA get busted for not passing a drug test? Exactly. See what I'm saying?
What? It's the
Can't do steroids. It'll slow them down.
No, they can still do steroids for recovery. Like, and I'm sure that they do. But those guys play 120, 140 games a year, something crazy like that.
I just read this thing the other day about how marijuana would cut down like an incredible amount on opiate pain pills.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like it would, and these things, those opiate pain pills are the most dangerous things ever.
Yeah, I was talking about actually with Tim from Novogenics. Like that was the thing. That's why I was like such a pusher for PRP, because there's so many like pain like pill factories here in South Florida. It's like, all right, like if you started like a medical marijuana place, how many people would go to it?
And what's up with that? Pot's been legal in Florida for 8 months. How come we haven't seen any?
I think
there's a lot of loopholes.
Yeah, it's like you can
It's
still
decriminalized.
Decriminalized. But I thought
can't. I think it's something like weird. Like they can't bust you for anything like under like a gram or something, and they can't like you can now apply to get a medical marijuana.
Yeah, well, how
like,
come we haven't seen any dispensaries pop up like in
there's
California?
loopholes.
There's huge battles going on as to who can open them, where you can open them, why you can open them.
There's it's not even like a tightrope that they have to walk on. They have to walk on like a fishing line.
They're only giving out X amount of licenses in the state of Florida to grow,
actually,
to produce,
that's why
to sell. So it's not like you can walk up into City Hall and say, "Hey,
guess what I'm doing?
I want to open a pot shop." No go.
That's what happened with AJ. Like he wasn't like even sure like about doing it, and then because it was a lottery, it was a lottery on bidding to get the license to do it, and he just got lucky. He's like, oh, I guess I'm fucking doing it then. So we got coffee. We got coffee.
Lift off.
Can you make me a cup of coffee?
Yeah, as long as you got 2 hours.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, I'm a huge proponent for recovery, like post workouts for like CBD and stuff like that.
Well, the CBD is, the CBD is legal at this point in time and being distributed if you find the right doctor. So
yeah,
I am as well. The muscle growth and the rejuvenation of the stems and the cells, I think, is kind of without question at this point in time. They've done research. They've got the data to back it up.
They're trying so hard to find stuff wrong with it, and at the end of the day, it's not. I don't think it's really government. I think it's like big pharma, and big pharma is doing everything they can to halt it, because at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to monetize it. If you think about it, it's like, how are they going to monetize?
How are they not monetizing?
Because why would you go and pay for their stuff when you can grow it at home now?
Yeah, but most people are not going to grow it at home. Most people. Let's say
80% of people.
Look at Colorado.
Yeah, no,
they're collecting ungodly amounts of tax revenue because of marijuana.
No, of course. Look, man, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm totally for it. But at the end of the day, it's like
I think they're bringing in $4 million a month.
More than that. Way more than that.
Yeah, way more than that. And I think they reached. Yeah, I think they like the first week that they had it legalized in Colorado, they made more money for taxes than like the government did the entire year before. It was something crazy like that.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's tons. It's tons of fucking money. But again, at the end of the day, it comes down to big pharma, because think about it, just like we talked about.
Like you said, it'd take money away from the opioid programs.
Right. You know how much money they would lose? Like, wait a minute, I don't have to take like oxycodone.
You want to hear a funny here? Just reading this, state of Colorado has pulled in nearly $200 million in tax revenue last year, thanks to its $1.3 billion in marijuana revenue.
Yeah, I told you.
$1.3 billion.
That's what I'm saying. And
That's billion with a B.
yes,
right. So get it this way.
$1.3 billion.
Let's say on average, like every state in the United States now starts doing that, right? Let's say they all make $1 billion a year. How many billions is that?
$50 billion.
That's a lot of billions.
That's $50 billion that one country's making off of one product. One product. And you're telling me, like, why would you not do it? How much would that go towards school teachers and all that other stuff?
We could use the dough.
Better than, like, having lottery money, gambling money go to
Well,
it.
you know what? Here's the problem with what they do. All that lottery money was supposed to go to education.
Back into the schooling
But
system.
what these fuckers did is they subsidized it. So what they said was, okay, we'll take this, and then we'll take that much out of the education that we were going to give to educate. It's so fucking crooked.
Think about it this way, too. Like, if they legalized it, you know how many, like, let's not even say that they retroactively try to change, like, judges, like, decisions. Imagine just the instant that it gets changed. You know how many, like, legal battles all of a sudden go into a shitstorm and people get out of it? Now you're fucking with jail money.
Well, yeah. Think about how many people are in
courts.
jail
You gotta
because
think about the money
people
just
are in
going through
jail
the court
longer for weed than they are for murder, than they are for rape, than they are for armed robbery. People are and there's people that'll be in jail for the rest of their lives because of weed.
Well, think about it like this.
And killers get off in 30 years or 16 years or whatever.
Yeah, and think about it this way. How, like, you know how they used to...
Let me preface this. I'm not a weed smoker.
Yeah.
I'm a proponent for weed, and I'm not a weed smoker.
Yeah. But look at it this way. Remember when we used to have to take that stupid DARE program in, like, middle school and stuff? Like, you had to fucking do a 1 hour a week, and a police officer show up, do all that shit. Imagine now all of a sudden, it's like, these people that you grew up with that are the nicest people, they ended up getting caught smoking weed. They would never do anything to hurt somebody. They end up going to jail for a year or two. It changes you, man. Like, you become a totally different person.
It can turn someone into a criminal.
Well,
for
by
sure.
the way, so
it's a gateway drug in the other way.
Over the last 3 years, I've lost. These were my
Definitely not weight.
my best friends in middle school, and before. I've lost, and 7 different people to overdoses.
Yeah, well, this is the Mecca, man, South Florida.
But overdoses of heroin.
Yeah.
But it started with pills. But it all started when they got in trouble with weed.
They got caught with weed.
They got caught with weed. Then they would go to the
they're doing coke. Then it's on to the next thing.
Well,
everyone says weed is a gateway drug, and it can be a gateway drug, depending on who you hang out with.
Yeah.
But
it depends on the person.
It really
depends on the
comes down to
Depends
that.
on the person.
Yeah.
You know, the people who go on past weed to do other hard drugs like, you know, heroin, cocaine, they were looking to do those drugs from the beginning.
Yeah.
They just didn't necessarily have the option to do those drugs from the beginning.
They wanted the excuse.
That's it. People that are going to do drugs are going to do drugs. People that smoke pot, a lot of them just smoke pot. That's all they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't drink alcohol. You know, you're seeing this turn in culture now that people are recognizing alcohol for the poison that it is, and that, you know, just behavior-wise, look at a drunk person next to a stoned person and tell me which one a police officer would want to deal with. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, or you'd want to deal with.
Get a stoned person and a drunk person in a car, and see who drives better.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of wouldn't want to do that anyway.
I was gonna say either way, you know,
I wouldn't want to do that.
It depends,
to begin
you
with.
know. People have tolerance, I think, for marijuana after many years and can handle it better than others. But I wouldn't want to see someone who's never smoked weed smoke a joint and get behind the wheel necessarily.
Here's the thing:
It
somebody
wouldn't
who smokes weed doesn't want to go anywhere anyways.
Yeah.
At least
They
you know,
fear-
the weed makes you want to drive slow,
Yeah.
and the alcohol makes you want to drive fast. You know, so
You know
that's
the
kind of
shit
way
you
I
got to
think
worry
of it.
about now is fentanyl. That's the new stuff, the synthetic, like heroin. Like, you heard about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, like, that stuff is so strong. There's cops, which is, like, again, I have nothing but respect for police officers. And they got to, like, guys that accidentally touch it when they're searching cars end up having to be hospitalized because of, like, the fentanyl, because it goes right through your skin. So now there's issues all over the country because of it.
I've never heard of it.
You never heard of it? Dude, look it up. It's insanely scary, like the effect this stuff has.
Well, the stuff these kids are doing nowadays in general. I mean, you've heard about the crocodile stuff, right? That's eating holes in people's arms.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Vice?
I saw a special on a Viceland
Yeah,
special.
man, that shit'll fuck with you. It's so crazy.
I have a buddy that's selling a stuff called kratom. It's legal.
Yeah.
Kratom is the tea room stuff, right?
Yeah.
When you go
It's a mushroom. It's basically a mushroom that they make into a tea.
Yeah.
You go to the kava bars, right? That's where
Yeah.
I've heard of it from.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to give you like a euphoric feeling. Or
I actually, not a friend, but I'm familiar with a kid locally who passed away from that a few years
From
back.
kratom?
From kratom.
Yeah.
Here locally. And his mother and father, I believe, had a big protest going on about why it's legal and why you're able to serve it, kind of deal.
It's pretty
You know,
crazy.
it's one of these things that's not justified or not you know, it's not registered with the FDA. These kind of products, they don't have to be as supplements.
Well, it's the same as like K2. Remember when like K2 was big, and you could buy it at gas stations?
Gas station stuff.
The synthetic weed, it was legal, and like what it was is basically just tree branches and
Sprayed in bug
leaves.
spray.
Yeah, they just spray them with like all this kind of like shit on there. Like, oh man, and people were
It's
fucking
like a
around.
synthetic plastic, basically. They spray on your yard clippings.
Well, it started
People
off.
going out
Remember,
smoking them.
it started off
Sounds
with
smart,
that
right?
K2, and then like because it got taken out, then it went to bath salts.
Well, I was gonna say this is where the beginning of bath salts came from.
This shit's crazy, bro. Like honestly,
And then they started eating each other's faces.
yeah.
I was freaked
That's
out
some
when
real
I read
shit,
when I
man.
read that one. I was like, "Why is he eating?
Only
why
in
did
South
he eat
Florida.
his face?" And then I'm thinking, "Oh, this is the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. Here it comes."
Bro, like
I told you, motherfuckers, it could happen.
You and every other zombie freak on the planet.
Yeah, but like you could honestly make a serious documentary about like drug addiction here in Delray Beach alone.
There's people doing it as we speak, I'm sure.
Yeah,
You can
exactly. It's pretty crazy. Oh shit! Look who just walked into the door, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Bruce.
Mr.
Master
Tim
Lee.
Bruce, black belt Tim Bruce, who you might remember from our most recent podcast at Novagenics.
What's going on, guys?
Nothing. I gotta actually turn that mic on if you want to sit down. You guys, we also have Lee coming in. You can sit down. Go for it. Yeah. You guys, you can adjust the mic, sit yourself up, and then I'll turn it on for you. So you'd be good. Sit yourself up. If you want to get it closer, yeah. You're good. Yeah, you good. You good. All right. Give me a second just to bump this guy up. We also have Lee, another one of our coaches here at. If you wanna, here, I'll put this down, and you guys just put it in the middle. You should be all right. Give me a mic check there.
Mic check, mic check.
We'll just lean in.
We'll lean in. We like getting close to each other.
Yeah,
It's cute.
you guys are close. If you guys remember Tim, he was on our podcast over at Novagenics. And actually, it was probably one of the most popular podcasts I did so far.
Nice.
I had a lot of people contact me about it, asking me questions. I'm like, I can't give you any information. You just got to go to Tim, man.
There you go.
Like Tim is the one that's got all the answers. But
Perfect.
yeah, dude, it was actually really informative. So thank you for that. Because honestly, after that, I sat down and I was actually trying to have conversations with my dad about it. Because the guy's 60. He used to play rugby. I mean, the guy works his ass off every single day.
Yeah.
And for sure, he's somebody that needs it.
Well, I mean, it's one of those medical procedures that you'll find people, it doesn't matter what, if you're a fighter, jiu-jitsu fighter. I mean, as you get older, people get these injuries, and a lot of times it really, just comes down to how you treat it. So PRP is going to be... it's going to be becoming more and more mainstream because it's effective.
Yeah.
And then eventually stem cell therapy is going to be completely legalized because it works. And like most things in healthcare, hopefully the cost will be able to come down so it's more affordable. Stem cells really, really expensive, but PRP, it's not that expensive, and it's highly effective. The results are amazing. I mean, you guys just saw what Gilbert did in the UFC. That knockout, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He had PRP. I mean, he was in really bad shape, but he got one shot, took care of him. His brother Herbert, same thing. He had problems with his legs, PRP.
Yeah, he's doing great as well, right?
He's and I love watching him roll. I mean, his jiu-jitsu is just so smooth. And it's funny because here you have two brothers that are both world-class fighters and jiu-jitsu practitioners, and their jiu-jitsu is really it's so different.
Yeah.
You've got Gilbert who's going to come through you like a wrecking ball, and then you've got Herbert who's literally like a ninja.
A snake. He's such a snake, man.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yin and
dude,
yang.
you would love rolling with him, Brooks, because he's taught me so many of these, like, not weird techniques, but different techniques, like outside of the standard.
The box a little bit.
A little bit, but more of like outside of the standard, like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu or like variations thereof. And it's like, why isn't everybody teaching this?
Yeah.
Like,
the light bulb goes on.
Yeah, I'm like, because you and I talked about this, Shawn. There was like, I'd always get stuck in like a weird, like, not 50-50, but like half guard with like my leg up as a knee shield, kind of like, it's a weird position. And the only out that I had was to go for the Kimura. So the person has to block that. And like Herbert stops, like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to fight for my life right now. Like, why? said, just do this. And next thing I know, I send the guy flying. I'm like, why has nobody like taught me this? I'm literally that position alone. I was asking anybody that I could pass by and be like, do you have something for this? He showed me in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and his knowledge is crazy. He's a commentator too, and he's an amazing commentator. If you ever get a chance to listen to him when he commentates for like the one fights or anything else, he's awesome, man.
The most unsounding Brazilian named brothers ever.
Yeah.
Herbert and Gilbert.
Herbert and Gilbert Burns.
Gilbert and Herbert.
No, don't get it twisted though. They're about as Brazilian as you can
For
be.
sure.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to, Tim?
Just running around trying to take care of some of this post-hurricane, I guess clean up and, get back on track. And then just trying to get back to training as much as possible, which has been really tough because I've got, 2 8-year-olds and, I've been, basically dealing with them for the whole week that they were off of school.
No school.
So how did the black belt ceremony? Just so you guys know, Tim just promoted his first student that went from white belt all the way to black belt.
Yeah.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Pat Ryan. And it's funny because you're just talking about like some unorthodox, things that people do in jiu-jitsu. And Pat is one of those guys as well with his, I guess, his leverage and his philosophy. And it's dangerous in a tournament setting when you put yourself in a bad position because now you're giving up points. So, and I've explained that to him when he first started, competing. I was like, you can't really do this because, you don't want to get behind that, the gun, so to speak, right away when you're competing. Now you're down 2-0. 75% of the time someone who scores the first points is going to win.
Yeah.
But he likes to, when you're training, puts himself in really bad positions, and then he'll find these unbelievably unorthodox sweeps that, you're like, all right, now I just pass his guard, I'm in side control, and you're like, what's that tugging under my armpit coming around my crotch? And then you'll find that, he's got your gi wrapped around you like dental floss, almost like a Bernardo Faria type, like grip.
Right.
And he just has this weird just strength where he just kind of, he's turned away from you, but he just sort of just twists his hips. And he gets underneath you, and the leverage will just cause you to just get airborne real fast. So,
yeah. But it's all technique. It's not desperation moves.
No, and it's he sets that up.
He feels comfortable there.
If you've never rolled with him and you take that bait and you're like, all right, sweet, I just pass him on side. Next thing you know, you've just been like launched, and you're like, how the hell do we end up here? It's like
fun to watch.
It's fun to watch. It's kind of like I guess a good way to put it. It's like watching married couples fight in public. You're like, how the hell did they just get into that position? But man, you can't look away.
So actually, I'm glad you're here because now I get 2 black belts, and everybody else here. The only thing we're missing is a brown belt, but I think all belts are covered right now. Lee's a white belt, and he's getting ready to compete. But ADCC is this weekend, and one of the matches that I'm looking forward to the most is Andre Galvao versus Claudio Calasanz. How crazy do you think that match is going to be?
It's, I don't think it's going to be ultra dynamic in the sense like, wow, like one of the greatest matches I think I could ever remember watching was when you had Buchecha, when he was fighting, what's his name, at Worlds. They were both like world champions at the time.
Leo?
Who?
Leo? No, not Leo. Oh my gosh.
Not Bernardo Faria.
No, the oh my gosh, I can't.
Is that
think of names.
ATT now?
No. I know who he's talking about.
My God, I can't believe it's amazing just what the
At this past Worlds.
No. Buchecha versus God, what? We're gonna have to like literally.
We'll go back.
We're gonna have to edit this. But it was like greatest. I'm just gonna look it up.
All right. While he types it up, we got Shawn here. He's got his laptop. You can look it up.
I can't even type right.
Put him on the spot.
Rodolfo Vieira.
Rodolfo.
Yeah. Rodolfo. Yeah, that's he's at ATT now. Rodolfo Vieira.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He's learning. He's fighting MMA now.
Yeah.
Really, he's striking.
Yeah. Hey, it's
That's
good.
scary.
And it's good because I've been there. I've watched them a couple of times. I've had to go and film and photo up at ATT. It's like you think the standard, like, oh, okay, is the jiu-jitsu guy's like, no, man, his striking's getting good. He's working with Cattell Kubis and Billy and a couple of the other striking coaches there. Like, I wouldn't say he's like world class, like just yet, kind of thing. But
he's starting late
for a jiu-jitsu
Absolutely.
fighter transitioning,
Good fundamentals will go a long way.
yeah,
That's all he really needs
That's
is
all he needs
fundamentals.
is good
He needs a good
fundamentals.
defense, a good jab.
yeah. But I'm talking about like his kicks and stuff. Like everything's like moving.
These guys, at the end of the day, you don't sleep on any world, champion
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu fighter because they're world-class athletes.
Yeah.
They're the best at what they do in their sport that they've dedicated their time to, and it's not a difficult transition for them.
Yeah.
But that match right there was one of like the coolest things you'll ever see. It was just so exciting. Galvão and Claude, and this, I'm saying that because he's just gonna, if he's smart, he's gonna try and control him. But
Yeah.
I mean, those are two.
I think it's two different. What is Galvão? Claudio is small.
Yeah.
Claudio's
big is-
not that small, man.
Well,
He's bigger than he looks.
he's a big. He's not huge, but he's a muscular.
What is he?
dude.
150?
No,
170,
Yeah.
175.
Claudio is 170.
He
I
was
rolled with
170,
him.
180.
I rolled with him. He
Yeah,
didn't
but
seem
when
that-
you rolled with him is when he was preparing for ADCC with Gilbert, so he was cutting the weight.
Yeah, he was. But he's not a big person.
Now he's not huge. I would say, I think he's about your size, just like bigger. Yeah.
And
Like-
Galvão is pretty thick, man.
Yeah,
And,
he's
and
strong dude.
talented.
Brick shit house.
And he's super talented.
So you
it's
got to
like-
remember too, like Claudio's just coming off of winning pretty much every major tournament. When he won the same year that he won ADCC, he won every tournament that year.
Well, it's funny because both of those guys are, I don't want to use the term old school, but they've been
They're old
successful
school.
for a long
Yeah.
time. So to see both of those names, you're like, all right, that's kind of cool. It's sort of depressing because I'm like, man, I should be doing more. But if they could do it, why not me? But those guys are, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. So that'll be really cool. I mean, there's a lot of, and then there's a lot of local talent.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I hope, hope some of the guys from down this area do really, really well. That's who do you have? Wagner
Yeah.
is I believe competing, and he's, to this day, I just don't understand why he's not more of like a household jiu-jitsu name.
I think that was all his like self-destruction. Honestly, I think he's a good guy, but I think
yeah.
he's a no bullshit guy, and he's not gonna play the game.
He's an old school.
Yeah, he's not gonna play the
It's
game.
not good for business always.
Yeah.
Well, I've met him, many times, and he was always like one of the nicest,
Super.
most genuine,
Yeah.
good dude. So like, if anyone ever says anything, I read like negative about him.
Yeah.
I'm like, they just don't know the guy.
Yeah.
But his jujitsu is just phenomenal. And I think probably the reason he's not, a top 5 in the world, jiu-jitsu contender, is just because he took so much time doing MMA.
Yeah.
But in terms of what I'm excited. I hope he really goes
Yeah.
real far.
I think he will. The last time I saw him, he was cornering one of his guys for I think it was an XFN fight. And he was making the push to get back into the UFC, like everybody was saying it. And then he had the match with AJ.
Yeah.
That was like, that gave him a whole bunch of like bad press. Like, even though AJ is like the heel,
Yeah.
it gave him.
Well, he
bad
shouldn't have
press.
kicked him off the podium. Or
Yeah,
off the-
I mean, I don't disagree with that. That was definitely not the best
that was
choice.
Had he not kicked him, he would have gotten more respect for the
Yeah.
But that kick, but it's frustration. I would have wanted to kick that kid too. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess anybody would have wanted to kick him.
I'm sure like guys like what's his name, Donkey Guard, Glover. Like he got that a lot when he started doing that. Everyone was like, kicking him in the butt, like launching him forward.
I just watched a video the other day of someone getting kicked in the ass
Yeah,
for doing
that was I know the video you're talking about. It was like a purple belt.
Yeah,
it was
then
a
the
purple belt
glasses thug life came down.
match. Yeah. So who do you think, Galvão or Andre? Or Claudio?
If I had to bet,
You're getting closer.
if I had to bet, I would say Galvão. I do, just because he's Yeah, I mean he's ferocious and he's got the physical, I think the strength advantage. So when all things are equal, I'm gonna go there.
Yeah.
What do you
all
got?
All things
I
equal
wanna-
when size
I
doesn't
want to.
matter.
I want to take the tallies here. We'll just make this gentleman's
I'm
bet.
Galvado as well.
Yeah, I'm with the coaches as well.
Really? I'm going with Claudio. I'm sorry.
All right.
Who do you got, Lee?
Somebody on the
Galvao,
backside.
man, Andre, that dude's,
Oh man, I'm going to
4 against
Sizzler.
1.
dude's a beast.
All right. I mean, hey,
Time to
look.
break out them wallets.
Yeah, right. Now I think it's going to be a good match, and there's a couple other matches. Unfortunately, Gilbert had to pull out.
Yeah.
He I spoke to him yesterday before the news came out. He told me.
Injury?
No, dude, he's just worn out. The guy
I was
just
gonna say he's just coming
Yeah,
off
just
a
come off a
huge
fight, yeah.
first fight in a year, and then he had to deal with the whole hurricane stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, come on. He had to leave a week early. So that whole routine that you have just gets thrown out the window.
Have you heard the names in the 88 kilo division at the ADCC?
Yeah.
I read it. It's kind of crazy. Go through it.
So of the people that actually won trials, there's really not a lot of names that I'm familiar with besides Kit Dale, John Salter,
Yeah.
but James Brasco.
Yep.
James is good
James
too, man.
is going to be it. He was the first North American trial winner. But then this is who was invited: Romulo Barral,
Yeah.
Keenan Cornelius, Gordon Ryan, Pablo Popovich,
Really?
Leandro Lowe, Dylan Dennis, Rustam, Rushev, Shelsev or Sheslev
Yeah,
or whatever. So I mean,
And look, Brasco
Interesting graphic.
is the one that is being touted as being the upsetter, that he could upset the whole card and take it.
Well, absolutely, because he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a pretty impressive story because he's, think about he's in his early 40s.
Yeah.
So he's not like a young dude, and this is a vicious sport.
Yeah.
He had gone through. First he was a super high level wrestler. That's his background. Then he learned, jiu-jitsu and MMA, and then he took some time off, and he's, he's like one of the few guys. He doesn't have his own school,
Yeah.
so he has the luxury of being able to bounce around and train with some of the best guys.
And no one's really going to turn him down, too, his caliber. They
Yeah.
want him to come in.
So if he, if he's able to really utilize his wrestling skills and get the fight on the ground and go up, I could see a lot of, 2-0 matches where he
sure.
wins, and
it just controls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Orlando on this one?
Orlando Sanchez.
Yeah.
He's in the over 99.
Yeah.
This is under 99.
So wait, hold on. Give me
The 99, the over 99 kilo one is got killers too. Orlando Sanchez, who won a couple
Yeah.
years ago. Tom DeBlas, Vinny Magalesh,
Vinny Maga Boom Boom Leish.
Buchecha, Cyborg, Tim Spriggs, Bruno Bastos. I mean, dude, all these.
bracket,
Dude,
too.
I'm
That's
telling
an
you,
insane
like-
bracket.
Well, even the 77 kilo bracket.
Bunch of killers.
You know who's actually got the
Gary
biggest?
Tonin, Lucas Lepre, JT
Yeah.
Torres, DJ Jackson.
It's so
That's
nuts,
awesome.
dude. I'm telling you, this weekend is gonna be crazy. But you know who's got the most advantage out of everybody there? Is Pablo.
Because he's been in.
Yeah,
Dubai
he's
last-
been in Dubai. So for him, it's it's just a drive down the street.
Well, he's got that, but he also has he hasn't made any headlines or done anything, so nobody knows if
What
he's
he's been
improved
doing.
his game
Yeah,
or
what
what
has
he's
he
done
been
to
Oh,
his
for
game
sure, Pablo.
over the last
Definitely
2
a big,
years.
Big question mark there.
He's a question mark.
You know
yeah.
who's got the best story about him is AJ Souza. AJ,
yeah?
AJ Souza's got a good story. He told me years ago, but basically he's nobody, when he came here, in the country, it was him and his sister were in the school or something, and I think it was his sister, but some guy was picking a fight with him, and nobody knew because he could barely speak English, and there was it was some big jock, some giant musclehead, and
Which
he,
Pablo
started-
isn't a small dude either.
right,
Yeah,
but he was small, obviously
Yeah,
this is
sure,
high
he's
school,
smaller
whatever.
then.
So the guy was who went to go throw a punch, he just picked him up and just fucking suplexed the guy, and that whole school was there to see it, and they're oh, after that he became a rock star at the high school. I gotta get on. I've been trying to get AJ to come onto the podcast, but his story is freaking hilarious. He's dude, it's nuts. But whatever.
Sometimes it just takes that one event to turn a person into an absolute legend.
He's a good dude, man. A couple of times I met him, he's always seemed nice too.
Yeah, I had actually a similar story. I don't want to give the guy's name, until I talk to him about it. But
that's the bottom one.
He basically, when he was in high school, he became a legend, a street fighting legend. There was like an incident with, I guess, 2 rival high schools.
Yeah.
And basically, these guys were trying to leave this party, and a car full of like the captains of the other school's football team showed up, like all these huge, like just jacked up roid head linebackers, and basically my buddy was like, well, I got nothing to lose, so he just casually walked up to the one guy because he knew what was going to happen, and he just clocked him right in the nose, busted his nose, knocked the guy out, like just blood everywhere, and that's all it took was that one shot that people
and
were
everybody
like,
else was like,
the shot hurt. The shot hurt around the world.
He just took out the alpha gorilla of the group.
That was it. It was just that one event in front of a whole bunch of people,
hometown hero for life.
Yeah, people were
after
like,
that.
"Yo, don't mess with that guy. He's a
Don't
killer."
fuck with him.
What was it? Remember the story you told me about the guy at the club?
Like that.
The kid at the club?
No, I got a great when I was standing in line at a club in Palm Beach when I was a real young guy, and had a car drive by talking shit. The guy and his girlfriend in front of us, and said something dirty to the guy's girl, and the guy flicks him off. Car stops. A couple guys hop out of the car. Black kid, good build, small guy in front of me. Turns to his girl, goes, "Oh shit, hold up." Takes off his watch, hands it to her, and goes, "Oh, you guys want to do this?" And puts up his hands and starts moving and says, "I'm the best at this." Runs at the first one, drops him out cold completely, picks up the other one, puts him on the hood of the car like Lethal Weapon basically, and lays all 3 of these kids out within 30 seconds. The driver takes off, leaves his 2 buddies sleeping on the corner. The kid walks back in the line, puts his watch on, continues to walk into the club like it never happened. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I'm the best at this.
You want to do this? I'm the best at this. We
should definitely make that into a shirt. We got like a whole line of shirts.
That's a meme right there.
Yeah.
We got a whole line of shirts. We got to make it with Brooks.
I've been fighting my whole life.
The other one is, so it's my fault.
Oh, so it's my fault.
Now it's my fault.
Nah.
1 star.
1 star.
Oh man,
1 star.
we can't be throwing out all like the inside jokes. So yeah, that card this weekend's gonna be nuts. And you got the UFC card in Japan. Did you see that one?
Yeah, Charles Rose is fighting, I believe.
Not anymore. We
Well,
just found
his
out.
No, he's
his
fighting.
opponent
It's still
didn't
on?
make weight.
The guy missed weight.
Is he just going to take a penalty on it?
Yeah, he's going to lose 30%.
Take some cash?
So
That's
Charles is
such
going to fight.
That's a huge chunk.
Charles wouldn't have told the guy no. The guy could have probably came in
20
pounds over, and Charles would have said, "Okay, let's
Now,
go."
question: does Charles see any of that extra money?
That goes
Yeah.
to him.
It goes straight to him.
The 30% goes right to him.
Well, no, because he has to pay a penalty. Like the fighter has to pay a penalty for missing the weight, and then
To the UFC.
yeah, and then
And
the rest goes to Charles, which is I was
Good.
like it's good because like I don't know how much they're paying Charles. I mean they're paying him okay, but to fly he was out in Japan a week
Charles
ago.
wins fight of the night bonuses left and right, so it doesn't really matter.
20% is a big bump too, even if they pull 10. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big bump.
So and it's a good showing for him. I mean anytime they have a good fight is Japan, because if you make a good show in Japan, like you got fans for life.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard him talk about he likes to fight on enemy territory too.
Yeah.
So
Charles is a fighter. You guys noticed Charles' story. Have I ever told you Charles' story? How he got into MMA?
I think you gotta talk into the mic better.
I am talking into the mic.
There you go. I just gotta tweak it a little bit. All right, go ahead.
Basically, so Charles came down here to get clean, and he was just riding his bike one day, came across American Top Team that used to be in Boca, Charles McCarthy's, stopped in, and that was it. That's it. He just started fighting.
walked
That was
in
a very
and walked
anticlimactic shot.
Well, no,
It might have
I'm
been-
like
yeah,
expecting like he was like
No,
fucking
no, but-
people
So he
up
got
in the
beamed up by
street.
aliens.
He rode his
No, but
bike down
I-
the wrong.
So, yeah, I was like,
You
like
know-
he was hitchhiking and it ended up getting picked
Gets
up by like
picked up by
Laborio or
Dean
something.
Leslie.
No. But here's the thing. He is a real fighter.
No,
we were
for
talking
sure.
about fighters before, martial artists. Charles Rosa is a
He
fighter.
wants to fight.
He
Right.
wants to fight people. So he got his bike stolen one time, and his bike was gone for months.
This story better be better than the
Well,
last one.
I'm not. I might not be
No
a great at
promises?
telling stories. No promises. And he saw one day he's walking home from work because he works at in downtown Delray at Cut 432 at the steak place. He's the dessert chef. He's walking home from work one day, and what's he see? The guy in his bike, big black dude with long dreads, yanks the dude off his bike and starts fighting him right there in the middle of the street, beats him down, takes his bike home.
I would have too.
Love it.
I mean, not as good as Charles, but
Justice.
It's funny because I was hanging out with a buddy of mine at the beach one day, and like he sees some guy like sparring, like he's just like shadow boxing on the beach. Like, who's this fucking guy think he is? He thinks he's some kind of UFC fighter. Like, I look like, yeah, that's because he is. It's like, I'm like, Charles, what's up? He's like, hey, what's up? He's like, my buddies just sat there, didn't say shit. He's like, oh. I'm like, hey, that's my friend. He's like, oh, hey, what's up? It's funny as hell. Now, Charles is a good dude, man. Every time I talk to him, I had like nothing but like a good conversation with him. So I'm really hoping that he puts
And he
on
says
a good
anytime
show.
I go to Cut 432, if I want a free dessert,
He's got some
ready.
cheesecake for you.
Yeah, so we should go there and get free desserts from him one day.
I know the fighter in here. Don't argue with him. There's actually, who else is on the card? There's for the UFC. Do you have it up?
Well, we were talking ADCC,
Yeah, no.
but if we're moving to UFC,
Yushin Okami versus OSP.
yeah,
That's
you
such
should.
a
Who did
fact.
Yushin step in for? Somebody. Yushin stepped in for somebody.
Shogun.
Shogun. Yeah.
On a week
Maurice-
notice, which
yeah.
I give him credit for, but it's like not against the OSP, man.
What happened with Shogun?
I think I made the joke that he was already out of cardio, so he had to like bail out. But I think he just got sick or something, or he just couldn't do it. But hopefully he doesn't hear that joke. But I made the joke.
You know, it's really tough though. A lot of times when you have that last minute replacement.
yeah.
I mean, look at what happened to OSP when
Vulcan.
Yeah.
You
My
know,
boy Vulcan.
last minute.
It can work the other way, too, for sure.
Yeah.
So
But Yushin, like, when's the last time Yushin fought, man?
Well, he's fought. He just hasn't fought in the UFC. He's been everywhere.
that's what I'm
else.
saying.
Yeah, I think the card. There's two fights that you. I don't know.
Claudia Gadelha.
versus
That's
Jessica
Jessica
Andrade.
Andrade.
That's going to be good. And then Gomi versus
Takanori Gomi.
Dong Hyun Kim.
Yeah. Do you see what his new nickname is? I think that's his new nickname.
What?
Did you read it? It should be up there.
It doesn't.
Oh, you don't have the UFC? Fuck, I gotta look it up. But he gave himself like a new nickname. And then there's some other guy like
Are you allowed to do that?
So he's not
Give
the
yourself
stun gun
a
anymore.
nickname?
Huh?
it's not like changing
He's
your
not the
like
stun
driver's
gun
license.
anymore?
No, it's
What-
not. It changed it. And then there's another guy. What's his name? Hector Lombard did it. He changed the show weather and then he went back.
It's like a P. Diddy thing.
Nah.
Puff Daddy.
No, I
P.
give him
Diddy.
credit because Hector was doing that all for branding, and it was actually pretty cool. He was getting like all new clothes and stuff made. Like,
Yeah,
it was,
show weather, but that was a terrible name for clothing.
I mean,
Not that,
like it didn't make direct sense to me, but like the logos and everything he came up with was like, I'll go with it. It's pretty cool. It's different.
yeah.
Like it's not like
Did
there's
you guys-
another guy.
Did you guys see the video of Yoel Romero calling out Bisping?
No, but judging by your face, I
No.
need to.
Yes, dude. Dude,
Bisping-
it's
Don't.
basically him just standing on a British flag
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
saying, "Come to my country."
Well, no, that was his reply of Bisping tearing up like a photo
You
of like the
respect my
flag or
country.
something. Yeah, he did
was-
something crazy.
He was
And
pissed. He said, "I'll come to London. You'll never come to."
so here's something about that I found out because I was hanging out with Yoel's coaches like a week after that happened. He's like, he flew specifically to go do that. And then they're like, we need to get the fuck out. Like,
Yeah,
we need to
because
leave.
he
He's
can't-
like, he had like an hour to leave Cuba because they literally just went to go do that and come back. Yeah.
Because he's defected from Cuba.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was
That's
like
not-
crazy.
Why would you go back to Cuba if you defected from
Hey,
Cuba?
man.
You
Like,
know,
risky
you
business.
could have stood on a beach in South,
yeah.
South
No,
Florida,
no.
anywhere.
Miami,
Nobody would've
Miami
known.
looks a lot like
Go to
Cuba.
Little
Could've
Cuba.
called
Go to
you
Little
out.
Havana in Miami.
That's right. Miami
It's as
looks a
close
lot
as
like Cuba.
Yeah, dude. Like they told me that I was just dying laughing because it was. We were talking about it. I'm like, dude, you guys are fucking crazy. He's like, man, we took that photo. Like he didn't even have time to put the cigar out. We're like, we fucking gotta go. So it's crazy. I'm trying to pull up the card right now.
I got your Dong Hyun Kim is the maestro.
Yeah,
The
that's-
Maestro?
Yeah, the maestro.
To Maestro?
And then you got
Stun gun sounds so much cooler now.
they got Luke Jamo,
I mean, if we're
the
going cool
Jedi.
points.
He's calling himself the Jedi. And then Chanmi Jaeon is calling herself a Togi girl. I've never heard of her. But yeah, it's actually gonna be like a decent.
I don't
decent
think
fight
you
card.
should give yourself your own nickname.
That was my thing. I mean, are you allowed to
that
do that?
allowed?
I thought that was the rule.
That seems wrong.
I think
Nicknames had to
traditionally,
be given, not I made my own nickname. We'd all have really cool nicknames if that was the case.
No, but they wouldn't be cool.
That's
if you gave
what I
yourself your
mean.
own nickname, it's not cool.
That's kind of what we're getting at here.
The Axe Murderer.
He called himself that, right? No,
I don't think so.
I actually have like his.
Well, I wouldn't question him on it, but
I wouldn't ever question. Like you call yourself whatever you want, champ.
Yeah.
You're good.
whatever he wants.
Tim, what's your jiu-jitsu nickname?
I don't have one.
What?
It's
Just Tim.
Yeah,
it's-
Tim.
You could go with Braveheart.
I don't know.
You could. I mean, with the Bruce last name,
Yeah.
Listen, you just like you said.
You just
you
go
know,
with it. He's like,
just go with it.
I mean, normally, like the things that I get called are, like really disrespectful. So, but,
when's it too late in jiu-jitsu to like garner a nickname?
well, probably never. But like I haven't competed in a while, so I mean, Tim sidelines Bruce. I don't know what do you want to do. But yeah, I mean, it's I mean, really the hardest thing is getting back into a competition shape.
Yeah.
The mindset doesn't really leave you. At a certain point, I remember like when I first started competing, like the nerves. You're like, oh man, this is
Yeah.
like the adrenaline rush. And then after a while, it was just there's nothing. I mean, like you look forward to the competition, but I never really I didn't get like pumped up. That just that stopped. So really, my mindset would still be fine, but you just got to make sure that your skill set, your cardio, your strength, your flexibility, the timing, you got to spend a lot of time getting ready for it.
It sounds
that's
it
huge.
sounds to me like you're itching to get back.
Well, absolutely, because Andy,
Yeah.
he's I know he's getting ready. He's been training hard because he wants to do the Miami Open.
Yeah.
And, I just found that it got hard. Like I don't know, when you're like competing as an adult, pretty much it's a level playing field. Then when you start going into the Masters divisions, I found that as a black belt, it was actually harder going into the Masters divisions.
Right.
Because when I'm like, okay, good, I'm gonna go Masters, then Senior 1, this will be great. Now I'm fighting like these guys that are gonna be my age. And I fought in the Miami Open a few years ago against this guy who was a black belt from Brazil. He was the head instructor down at an Alliance school, and he quite literally had received his black belt 5 years prior to me beginning jiu-jitsu.
Oh wow.
So I'm like, yeah, it's a guy. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And literally there was probably 60 Alliance team members in the stands cheering for him. Yeah. At the same time, and they're all in unison and stomping, and I had like two of my students,
hanging out on the sidelines. Go,
one of them goes, "Go, Tim!" I was like,
Shut
up. This crowd looks angry. They'll kill you. But it's fun. You want to get back out there, but the biggest thing is just balancing time. And I once wrote like a rubric on your potential for jiu-jitsu success, like how good you can be, and there's a lot of factors that are going to determine just how far along you can get. Things like obviously genetics, coaching, training partners, your facility, your financial means, because obviously if you don't have to work a job and you can literally train 3 times a day, it's going to really help you out. Age is certainly one of them, but it's tough right now for me because, I've got, 8-year-old twins, a wife, responsibilities, and my kid's schedule is nuts. So I find the most time that I'm spending on the mat right now is helping Bruna teach the kids class whenever I can make it in, and, try and, get my kids a little bit better at jiu-jitsu.
It's funny you bring that up. Actually, you might know this guy, Dave Burns. Just signed up his kid to take classes over there at Combat Club, and he's actually the artist that drew the Karate Kid poster that you have in here. He's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, it's killer.
Oh, that's cool.
He's one of my favorite artists, dude. You got to check him out. Shawn, I showed you. He's the one that did the clutch poster I showed you a long time ago. I got to get him on here, dude. He's a super nice guy.
Good guy. I met him down at Sunfest.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist, man. It's funny because you just reminded me of that. But obviously, it's different for me than you because I have different responsibilities. Like Brooks has different responsibilities, and this is his gym.
Yeah.
What do you think is really how do you go about scheduling that? Like, how do you make time for that? What do you say to yourself? Like, no, I have to have this time.
Well, you know, it's not that I have to have this time, you know. When you have kids, you know what, like, that's it, you know what you're getting into. So really, I have to basically try and work around that schedule. That's the only thing that I'm going to be able to do. So, you know, I'm going to try and take advantage of some of the morning classes when they're in school. I can't do the 7 a.m. class, you know, I can't roll with those guys down at the combat club. So, you know, a 9 a.m. class I might be able to work, but that's assuming that I don't have to go up to Jupiter to the clinic or other responsibilities. And, you know, and even when you're teaching, you know, teaching is not the same thing as training, you know, because
Absolutely.
I'm now there, you know, I've got to like try and, you know, work with these guys, show them, you know, if there's an odd number, then I can, you know, jump in and roll. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's, you know, when you're training, it's a completely different mindset, and the responsibility is for you to get better and to prove and to sharpen your skills. And versus when you're teaching, it's like, hey, I need to basically, you know, convey this knowledge to this individual. And it's, you know, and that's a sacrifice. So it's hard to train and teach at the same time, and that's when you got there's some people that are really good at that, and that's why, like, Galvan's a freak. You know, he's one of, there's not that many guys, you know, that are like those legit competitors at the top of the food chain that are also amazing.
At that high level, yeah, absolutely.
And then he's still got to go do strength and conditioning, and then he's got to deal with all the other stuff. It's pretty crazy. I mean, that's why I look at Lee.
Sponsors, you know, I mean, it's a lot.
It's so crazy. I mean, even like with Lee, like I like texting him back and forth. He's like, oh, I got to go with the girls. I got to do this. Like, he's going to compete, but his daughters have like the gymnastics competition that day. It's like,
same day.
I'm like, man, like, I honestly think I have tons of responsibilities, and I'm just trying to take care of myself. So when I hear that, like, to me, it's just, it's kind of motivation, because it's like, all right, well, then I'm just being fucking lazy, because I have the time. Like, granted, I got to pay my own bills, and I have my own company that I'm trying to run while doing this and that and the other. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not taking care of 2-3 other lives. Like, because it's also like your wife or significant other or whatever. It's like, fuck, man, it's a lot of work. And then you got to go up against people that are like, you know, jiu-jitsu is still their life, and they can sit there and train twice a day. So it's crazy to me. We got what, a month out? It's the 21st today.
A month out now.
That's crazy.
All right, gents, I got to head off to my massage. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Oh, this
What's
fucking
his name?
guy. We're probably right. We gotta.
I was late. There.
He's
I was late. I caught that. I was late.
I gotta actually, Lee, if you want to jump on that one.
Yeah.
That way everybody's got a mic. We'll probably wrap it up in a little bit. It's 12:15. I got to drill with Lee a little bit. Yeah,
That's all good.
Oh, it's all good, man. I'm glad you showed up, dude. It's funny because I was just texting Lee, and then like I was like, oh, let me check up on Tim. And he's like, oh yeah, he's coming in. Like, oh, well then we're good.
Yeah, small world, and you know, like, this is you know, I've been obviously to a lot of different jiu-jitsu schools, you know, throughout the, you know, Northeast, down in Florida, West Coast. You know, I've trained in Brazil. You know, anytime I go on vacation, you know, like, I'll always, like, if I see a jiu-jitsu school, I always love to look in, you know. I mean, that's, you have to, you know, and it drives my wife nuts. But this place is like one of the, it is the single most unique jiu-jitsu school that I've ever seen. It does not fit the mold, because it's not really a strictly a jiu-jitsu gym. You know, most, and even like, you know, you take a look at like other like MMA facilities, or, you know, like, you know, other types of institutions that actually have a jiu-jitsu program, it's all really pretty much the same. It fits the same mold. And, you know, I remember the first time I came in here, like I said, it's like you guys basically, you know, were like, you went to jiu-jitsu, then you guys went like surfing, and then you smoked a blunt and had a conversation. Or like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if we opened up our own jiu-jitsu school?
Not too far off. Not too far off.
It's got the most like unique vibe. Absolutely, you know, really like it. Like, you, like, I mean, like, I don't mind hanging out here. I'm like, all right, this is relaxing.
No, it's awesome. It's funny enough though. Like, Brooks and I went to the same high school, like right down the street. And so even though like we're like in different circles, like I know who he was. So it's funny. Like, a couple of years ago, it was like 2 years ago now, I was training under Shawn and Manny over at Jocko, and he's like, oh man, you gotta check out my buddy Brooks. He opened up a gym down the street. I was like, Brooks. I'm like, why does that name sound familiar? And then I came in and I was like, oh, this fucking guy, I know this guy. So it's funny because every once in a while I start, like, we'll be training, and then guys I know, for like girls I know from high school come in. I'm like, oh fuck,
Such a big community, but such a small community
world.
at the same time, you know?
Totally.
No, but it's so much cooler, man. Like, that's why I like, you know, it's, you know how it is. It's always tough to sit there and be in one, like, academy and then go to another one, and then it starts up all political stuff. Like, here it's like, you know, like, Brooks and Lee and everybody involved here has done such a good job in making it, like, open. It's open. And then we talked about this before. It's competitive if you wanted to be competitive, but it's also like anybody's open. You come in if you want to train with Lee doing all like the CrossFit and like the motion training and stuff like that. There's no judgment. You don't come in, it's like I have to wear a certain thing, or if I don't know shit, like no one's gonna sit there and look bad at me. The same thing with jiu-jitsu. You know, like Shawn's black belt, but I come in like Lee now is like one of my main training partners, and he just started like a year ago.
What?
Yeah.
Man, so misinformed. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
I started with Tim 3.5 years ago.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why that's.
Oh, so you're the reason why this fucking guy crushed my jaw the other day.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe, I don't know.
He destroyed my shoulder the other day.
It's all related. It all kind of comes full circle here. I started with Tim about 3.5 years ago. And then as things happened and Tim ended up moving everything up to Jupiter, was just a little bit too far for me to go. So I just kept training on my own. I'd come up to Jupiter every now and then.
Yeah.
I did, you know, especially like some Saturdays, and then I did a class or two, you know, but it was just a little too far. And then a mutual friend of all of ours, Mike, with I guess I can talk about the 6 Round podcast. Mike over there said you need to go check out Shawn and Brooks at Temple, which was about probably a year and a half ago now or so, close to 2 years ago, and it was awesome because I hit up Brooks on Facebook. And it was like an interview. Like you had to, it was all under, you didn't actually, like, I had heard about the temple, but didn't really know what to do. And then Mike was like, no, hit up Brooks on Facebook, private message.
Private club.
Yeah, he's like private message.
Hitting him up on the DM.
And he said, yeah, why don't you come down here and talk to me? And so I went down, checked out the little studio, which was no bigger than our office is now.
Yeah, 500 square feet.
And went through my interview, if you will. And Brooks is like, at the end was like, yeah, man, why don't you come train with us? Come tonight or whatever. I think it was a Thursday. He's like, why don't you come in tonight and train with us?
We'll jump you in.
Yeah.
You can be part of the game.
That's it. Exactly. That is how I felt too. I was gonna get jumped in, you know.
But that's the cool part, though. Like, you do like such a good job at. It's like it's open doors, but you screen.
Open door policy, but we screen big time.
Yeah.
Sure.
We still screen, and so. You know, then as one thing led to another, I won't, bore everybody with that story, but as one thing led to another, and I wanted to open up my own personal training, side with, based on movement and the Ninja Warrior kind of trainings and more of an alternative based, strength and conditioning programs. Brooks and I started talking. I told him what I was doing or what I was planning on doing, and Brooks said, "Why don't we just partner up? Why don't we just do something together?" And after months and months of talk and then finally looking at places getting shut down, and the dream kept becoming more and more real, though every time we got shut down with where we were going to set up, the dream became that much more real. And now we have this place here at 2 Eastview Avenue, Delray Beach, Florida. And it is
I just plug Barkingham Palace into the GPS and I just go there.
That's it. But it's awesome, man. I mean, it's been killer. I think, we've kept we've kept a lot of the essence of what Brooks started with the temple, and then in the sense of private and the screening and the community and the club itself, and been able to kind of expand on all that and make it a good, welcoming environment for, all levels, like you talk about, all levels, abilities.
Welcome.
Everybody's
It's
welcome.
an open door, like you said. We screen, we keep the jerks out pretty good, but
jiu-jitsu has a funny way of just sort of
weeding out who doesn't need to be
because
there.
there's no hiding.
We do it with a smile. We try and keep a good crew around. Everyone's friendly. I have the I should say pleasure sometimes of not competing. So being a coach that doesn't compete, it's a very open environment for other schools to come in and learn freely because there's nothing to hide. I'm not going to see you next week in the cage or at a tournament on the mat. So everyone that I give everything I have to my students and to other people's students, because it really doesn't affect me one way or the other. I want to see everyone get better. It's a learning facility.
It's a top-down mentality. You'll find that really what the head coaches and instructors do is going to trickle all the way down to the bottom, and that's usually universally true throughout almost any academy. And in terms of open door policies, where people are able to come in and go freely, I see that more and more. When I first started, that was
big no back then.
Oh man, I mean, and then
still is in some places.
Well, I think that really, when you go back historically and you take a look at like Brazil, I mean, the first academies in it really was. I mean, they would just basically shut the doors and people. That's it. You'd fight it out, to the death almost. But now it's becoming a little bit more relaxed, and I think a lot of that has to do almost probably with the internet, because techniques aren't secret anymore.
That's right.
You're filming these,
you have access to everything.
Yeah, you film these competitions, you study them, and one of my first instructors was really good at that, Rob Gutierrez. He's in Queens, East Coast United. And the guy's one of the most brilliant jiu-jitsu minds, and he would get VHS tapes and DVDs if he could, and he would study the positions at Worlds, and this is 2000, 2001, and he would break down the movement, the position, and then he would learn it from watching it over and over again, and then he would apply it, and then he would get better, and he would drill it, and then what he would do is he would think about every possible defensive scenario, and then once he was good, he would start trying it on different body types, and then he would say in the middle of it, how would you try and squirm out of this? And he did this over and over again until he figured out whether a move was legit or not. He just, it used to frustrate me because he was always 3 or 4 moves ahead, and he's like, you got to think in ahead, and I'm it's like, listen, asshole, we're not as good as you, I can't
said than done.
You're 5 moves ahead of me. I can't think 8 moves ahead. It's not feasible. But now, I mean, there's just so much knowledge out there that it's kind of hard to be like, this is our secret move. You use it once at a tournament, and now everyone's doing it.
Absolutely.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's all cyclic. I mean, you'll see, it's okay, now there's X guard, now there's Z guard, now there's 50-50 guard, now there's donkey guard. There. But it all kind of reverts back to the basics. That's it. Basics 101.
The fundamentals.
That's why Roger Gracie was able to, tap out 7 out of 8 guys with the same cross-collar choke from Mount in Worlds. Basics. Nothing fancy. I mean, it's really cool seeing some of the, younger guys that are real talented. Oh my God. But
what do you think about the whole thing? Remember when Keenan was starting to throw the worm guard out at tournaments, and then the IBJJF banned it. They're no, you're not allowed to do worm guard.
I think it's a mistake for you to try and, I mean, one of the coolest things for me about jiu-jitsu was the constant evolution. Most martial arts, you've got you can have a textbook, and it's written, and that's it. That's going to be, you don't see too many oh, did you see the new judo move come out? Oh, did you see that new kick in taekwondo? Oh, really? No one told me about this new kick. But, jiu-jitsu, it's look at all these new guards, a worm guard, and now people are and I mean, there's going to be those arguments well, all that jiu-jitsu really is a variation on catch wrestling, which, it's not, there's no new techniques, but, I've never, before some of these guards, I've never seen it, whether it's practical in a street fighting scenario is one thing, but I think it's a huge mistake for the IBJJF or any organization to ban moves that aren't dangerous. A heel hook at the white belt level, that's a different story. Knee reaping, okay, neck cranks, I get it.
Right, safety issues.
But when it comes to hey, wow, this is a new innovative guard, or some of the rubber guard positions, that they don't like, if it's effective and if it works and it's not, going to jeopardize someone, why are you going to stifle the progression of a martial art? That's what makes everyone and everything better. And so I think that's a huge mistake. But
no, I agree. I think there was you saw when they stopped guard jumping for white belts. That makes sense. But then you still see it at higher levels, guys brown belts getting their knees busted because someone tried to jump guard, stuff like that. So certain things make sense. I get it. But then it's like, okay, well, you know, what are you going to do if somebody comes up with another new guard that's amazing? It actually ends up being something more efficient that's completely groundbreaking. You're going to say no?
Well, it's also political too.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be realistic. You know, I mean, and I'm just gonna, you know, go out on a limb here and say that if a Brazilian had come up with the warm guard, you know, they'd be like, "This is an innovative new move. It's really good." You know?
absolutely.
But if you know, like, and that's why Eddie Bravo used to get so much flack.
Shit.
So
oh
much.
my God,
Yeah.
you know.
He still does.
Oh, of course.
Still does.
You know, and it's because he beat Hoyler, you know, and if, you know, if anyone else had come up with that guard, you know, it would have been like, wow, it's really clever. But it's, you know, I guess it's, they want to protect the integrity of it being a Brazilian dominated, and it clearly is. I
But
mean,
what's funny is, like, the very next match, he went up against, like, Leo Vieira. Lost.
oh yeah.
He, like,
Yeah.
lost. Completely lost. But nobody ever mentions that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, then exactly. He did exactly what he needed to do.
Well, you know, if it was Leo Gracie, that might be a different story.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, the fact of the matter is, it's a there is a clear, I guess, nepotism within Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or even Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. You know, the synonymous term that you can use for it. But when it comes down to it, I mean, you can't be a 10th degree red belt.
Yeah.
You know, that's only reserved for the founding Gracie family members.
Right.
So, I mean, even within the bylaws of the, you know, IBJJF Constitution, it's clearly, you know, favoritism for that family.
Yeah.
And you know what? They deserve all the credit in the world and all the respect in the world. But at the end of the day, let's progress, you know, with the positions. Positionally speaking, I mean, you know, if you have a like, you know, Keenan Cornelius, who's, you know, clearly innovative, and, you know, I mean, just he thinks on a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems silly to suppress their creativity.
Yeah.
If it's effective, anyway.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the shitstorm that would happen if, like, for some reason there was just either a white or just like an American guy that was just so good at jiu-jitsu, and then people say, oh, he's awarded his, like, coral belt. Like, can you imagine the shitstorm that would happen?
Well, I mean, it's eventually going to happen.
Matter of time.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's gonna
you
happen.
Take a look at Mikey Musumeci.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, the guy's, I mean, you know, world champion, American world champion,
First in
black
10
belt.
First thing I
years.
was going to say.
And, you know, he's so young that eventually, assuming that he doesn't quit jiu-jitsu, which, you know,
That
I
ain't
mean,
gonna
anything
happen.
can happen. I mean,
Right.
that guy's probably smart. You know, from what I understand about him, he's smart enough that he may just decide to go to law school or medical school and, you know, change careers. I mean, that happens too. But, I mean, if he wants to do, if this is going to be his life, and just, you know, 50 years from now, he could be
could
that
happen.
level.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. That kid is hands down the most dedicated person. Like, I've trained with him and I've gotten a chance to roll with him and stuff, and
Mhm.
it's crazy. It's a whole different level of perception and
Yeah.
knowledge.
Mhm.
Like, it's not even, you know, when you roll with someone and it's just like they just know, like they have the flow and stuff like that. For him, it's almost like a Matrix style, matter of fact. This is like what happens. Like, this is it, and it's so crazy training with that kid.
And that goes back to two factors. One, his just who he is.
Yeah.
You know, like if he was going to become, like, we'll say, a pool player. You know, he'd be able to
He'd
shoot
play
eight ball
pool
with
same
that,
way. Yep.
you know, because some people just have that philosophy, that ability to think, and you know, he's brilliant, and he just happened to be in the right place, in the right sport, at the right time. And two, I think you also have to give his background, and you have to give a lot of, I mean, you really have to give a lot of recognition to the fact that he started with Shark,
Yeah.
who gave him that base, that fundamental. And I think that in terms of being able to produce some really high-level, talented, you know, competitors, I don't think that he gets enough credit. I mean,
Yeah.
people in the area, within the know, in the South Florida community, probably recognize that. But I mean,
His name isn't thrown out there as often.
no, I
as it should
mean,
be.
you know, he's able to produce straight up killers. And I think that, you know, if Mikey had started someplace else, he'd still be successful, but I don't think he'd be a world champion if he had
He wouldn't be
started
as
somewhere
intense.
else.
Yeah, Mikey is pretty intense. That's the thing. Like, even though he's so soft-spoken and he's a very nice kid, like, with the conversations that I had with him, I remember one time he was telling me, like, he is 24/7 training. 24/7, even in his sleep. He's like, I set my alarm clock And as soon as the first alarm rings, he's up. He jumps out of bed and it's not even like, oh, he gets up out of bed. No, he's like, boom, on his feet. Like, that's how intense he is, because
the mentality.
Yeah, he reacts to it. It's like he acts and reacts. It's like, that's where I'm at. This is like, I have to do this kind of thing. And it's crazy. And a lot of people would burn out, but the kid's been doing it so long, and I agree. It really comes down to those first stepping stones.
Yeah, Joe Rogan actually talked about, like, it's almost like a mental illness in a certain way, because you got guys like, Michael Jordan, some of those dudes that are, the best of all time have this, this weird mindset where it's almost like all consuming to them.
Yeah.
Obsessive compulsive style.
And as great as that is in terms of the success for the sport, in jiu-jitsu for him, or for Michael Jordan in basketball, it may have some, negative ramifications later in life if you want to, start a family.
To other parts
you have to find if you're going to get married, you better find a wife that is going to be okay with you training 24/7.
Sure.
And I mean, we hopefully we all have girlfriends, and how many times have you put your girlfriend or wife in a triangle?
Yeah.
I think we've all done that.
I've pushed.
I got an arm bar or two.
No, I've definitely done that. But
Like, come on, babe, let's work this out.
Yeah. Well,
I think we gotta wrap it up, guys. We've been at it for a while. I know we all gotta actually work today. But,
Speak for yourself.
yeah, right. No, I gotta eat. Yeah, I gotta eat. I gotta bolt. I don't know if we're gonna get to train today.
It's all right. We can get back in the
I'm
water.
still sore from surfing all day. I had two
Get
full
back in the
sessions
water.
yesterday.
Yeah,
It's good.
Should. I think it's high tide now, from what I look at the clock this morning. But anyway, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you,
thanks for
Brooks.
being
Thank
here.
you, Lee. Thank you guys for letting me come in here and
Thank
join
you.
up on the podcast. Tim, thank you for jumping on again.
it was a fun surprise.
Yeah, let's do it
yeah.
again.
Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely be doing this again. So, guys, please be sure to check out Temple Martial Arts. What is it? Temple Martial Arts Club on Instagram.
It is.
Yep, and templedelray.com is the website.
Their website. So
Yeah.
if you guys are in the area, come down, check it out. Come train Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu with Brooks. Some strength and conditioning with Coach Lee. He definitely puts people through the pace, and he actually has worked with some of the bigger names in fitness.
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely knows what he's talking about. Now also, be sure to go check out Jupiter Jiu-Jitsu and stop by Novogenics after Tim beats you up. Give you a little PRP shot after he chokes you to sleep a couple of times.
Go to
Yeah.
All right,
you
guys.
go.
Thank you all
right,
for
thanks.
tuning
All right,
in.
thank you.
All right, folks, there you have it. I would like to thank Temple Martial Arts for hosting the podcast for this episode. Thank you very much to my good friend, Coach Brooks, and to my friend, Coach Lee and Professor Shawn Ambrosino for being a part of it. And also thank you for Professor Black Belt Tim Bruce from Jupiter Jiu-Jitsu and Novogenics. You guys might have remembered him from the Novogenics episode a few weeks back. I want to thank everybody for being a part of the podcast. I actually had a lot of fun on this podcast, and there was no main goal of conversation other than just to at least glance over ADCC and the UFC fights. Don't forget, please check out the sponsors that are supporting the podcast. The more you support them, you're supporting me and the podcast, and the more of these we can do. Check out chokealoha.com. Use the promo code Jiu-Jitsu Radio and get 10% off your entire order from Choke Aloha. They actually have some new apparel up as of late, so get it while you can because they always print limited numbers of everything. I can't thank Choke Aloha enough. They've been so supportive of the podcast from day one, so thank you very much to them. Please go and support them. Again, use the promo code Jiu-Jitsu Radio. Get 10% off some of the best apparel and merchandise in Jiu-Jitsu right now. And also thank our new sponsor, Jiu-Jitsu Soap Company. Go to jujitsusoapco.com. Use the promo code Kung Fu and get 15% off your order. I got a few bars of soap. A couple of them actually came in the shape of Star Wars stuff, which was super cool. I got a Millennium Falcon shaped soap. So, if you're not excited for a shower time before, you definitely will be now. Go check them out. I love the soap so far. I've tried a couple of them out. I'm gonna be doing a review on my blog, mycosmicjourney.com. So go check out and follow Jiu-Jitsu Soap Company. And yeah, please check out my blog, mycosmicjourney.com. Up there, you'll find a lot of the photos that I take. Obviously, I'm trying to keep it as up to date as possible and all the craziness that is my life. And you'll see a lot of my photos that are available for purchase. So if you want some cool beach themed stuff, I have a jiu-jitsu shirt that I made in ode to the classic movie Endless Summer, but it's Endless Roll, very jiu-jitsu theme. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on it. So if you want one, go ahead and pick one up. Anything you guys pick up helps me keep this going, because the more I can focus on the podcast, the better. I'm having such a blast doing this, and so many people have reached out asking to be a part of it, and I want to do whatever I can to get them on the show. So again, check out mycosmicjourney.com if you guys are interested in all my MMA and jiu-jitsu photography. I got a lot of stuff coming up. My company is Sonder Marketing, so if you guys can support that, as always, please take some time to share the podcast. If you like it, I love it. Please share it. If you don't, all good. But follow, subscribe to the iTunes channel or the Stitcher channel or SoundCloud channel, wherever it is that you're getting this from. If you can just subscribe to it, follow it, and share with your friends and help share the positivity of the podcast that I try to bring out there. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed doing it. Thank you for everyone that was a part of it. Coach Brooks, Lee, Tim, Shawn, everybody involved at Temple Martial Arts and Jupiter Jiu-Jitsu. Thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys next time. Be sure to follow me on social media. Instagram is Jiu-Jitsu Radio. Till next time, guys. Have a good weekend.